Hi guys, welcome to Otto's Garage. Okay, so I've started some paint prep, and of course that's not just inside the car, you've also got to get on the outside and most importantly underneath. And the great thing again with our good friend Mr. Jig, we can tip it on its side. So I've just popped it on its side and gone over all the little bits where we've done the seam welding. So for example, if you want any bits like this, where there's been some nasty bits poking out where it's kind of dripped through from the other side as we've welded it. Gone over all of those. And then what we've got to do is basically get stuck into cleaning it all off. So all of this soot, you know, will come off with a wire wheel. Basically, you can't just paint over that will just make a right mess of it. And then just some general tidying up, and where we've had previous welding, stuff like that, that's all going to have a bit of zinc rust proof on it before we get it covered up with any kind of paint. And then just making it look a bit tidy as well. I mean, classic one here is where we've got the bottom of the spare wheel well, that had rusted out, so put a patch on that. I'll just probably end up putting a bit of seam seal around those corners there so that she looks half decent. Okay, so it's a little bit chilly in here, hence the hat. But anyway, that's given me the opportunity to get warmed up by doing a bit of painting. And what I've done is I've been over the floor of the car with the wire wheel in these areas, and I've just taken back all of the like the sooty bits that were and the blistered paint obviously around the welds that we had there. So we've got something substantial to fit to, and I've just started doing the first bit of paint to the underside. So the first coat is just going to have the Isopon 182 zinc coat on it. That's just brush applied, and then we'll put some 2-pack primer over the top of that before finishing off with some white 210 to go on the top of there. And then after that I'm going to put on some Gravelax anti-stone chip stuff it is basically afterwards. So we've got 3 or 4 layers of protection going in there. So this is the stuff that we're using, the Zinc 182 from Isopon, and it's just dead easy to put on with a brush, so that's great. I can just have the car on the side, I can do a little bit here and there, it doesn't have to all be done in one go. So when I get a spare hour in between work, I can just drop on it straight away. So wish me luck, let's get cracking. Okay, here we go. So obviously when we put in those big seats in, then we're going to need proper harnesses, and of course we haven't got enough harness mounting points with the normal 3-point seatbelt. So basically you can get this kit, which basically is a plate with a knot weld on the back and a seatbelt eyelet which screws into the plate. However, what we've got to do is fit the plate on the underside of the car. Obviously you can't weld it on the inside, so it's got to be on the outside, which in this instance is in the transmission tunnel. So I've just been painting the back, or the bottom of the car I should say, and we've made ourselves a hole each side of the transmission tunnel and then basically mounted one of the plates in there. So what I've got to do now is take that plate off, clean up around it, get it welded on that one, do the same on the top one, and then happy days, we'll have a pair of eyelets for the harness. The other 2 points that I'm going to use, which are on the outside of the sill, are actually the original seatbelt mounts anyway, so we can put eyelets in those, and then basically that'll give us the 2 to go on the floor at the back of the seat. Okay, I've just welded those on, so we can have a look at those now. I've just basically welded them right the way around. I'm thinking probably you get away with just having them spot welded in a few corners, because obviously the plate is spreading the load off it. However, we want to do it right, so we've popped them on with welds all the way around, and now I'm hoping that basically that is going to be the end of my welding. Well, there's got to be something else in there, but at least I can get the bottom of the car completed now. So she's looking pretty good. That's with the Zinc 182 primer on it, and the last obviously welds there will just get tied up and get some on there. And then there's a bit of seam seal I've got to go around it here and there, and then we're going to be ready underneath for some primer out of the gun. Cool. That's the arch when it's welded, and we're just about to clean that off, and then we'll go over that with the flat wheel, take off the sharp edges off some of the welds, and then whiz over it with the wire wheel, and then it'll be ready for a bit of Zinc 182. Okay, so been over it with a wire wheel and cleaned it off now with a bit of Sally Prime. Okay, so we've been over it with the wire wheel and we've cleaned off all the cruddy bits of welding dust and stuff like that. And then I've just wiped it over with some cellulose thinners, so we've got a nice area to key to. So now we've just got the old Zinc 182 on it again, and then we'll basically get that in there and paint it up basically. So this is a good base coat again, ready for the colour primer to go on top of that afterwards. But it's just good to stop all the stone chips and stuff like that as well. Okay, so here we are. We've painted the inside of the arch there with the Zinc 182 and basically completed the underside of the car. So that's given us a good reference point now for actually getting on and doing a bit of spray painting work to get underneath there and get some primer put on there. But at least that's the rust proofing side of things done under there. Somebody did ask me when I was telling them about the car and that we'd had it dipped, how do you get the paint back into those seams where the acid has etched it all out? Obviously when the car's made, it probably goes into a big vat and it's dipped in there. But when we acid etch it and dig everything out, the rust and everything, then basically all that paint and everything comes out of the seams. The short answer to that is you don't get back in there, but what you do have to do is ensure that you can get as much paint in between the seams. So when I'm saying that, like where we've got it in here and she's upside down, we can basically run a bit of paint in there and you can kind of see how that's filled that up as it's gone, which is great when the car's upside down. But obviously when we spray paint it and we're the other way, we're not going to get anything like the volume of wet paint going into the seams. So basically what you've got to do at the end of the day is just make sure that you've got some decent rust proofing sprayed down into all the cavity holes, you know, into the inside where you can't get in with a brush or anything like that. And obviously there's a lot of the holes down the sills and in between the double floor sections, stuff like that. So that's what's going to happen there. We'll get a bit of rust proofing in there, something like wax oil or something like that, and that should hopefully replace all of that stuff that's been ripped out by the acid bath. Okay, so I'm going to just sign off on this one now. We've got our underside done, and what we'll be doing next is flicking her over and having a look in the engine bay and doing a bit of rust proofing in there. But I'll show you a bit more on that on the next video. So hope you have a good one, guys. We're going to another lockdown by the looks of things. Might get a bit more chance to get a bit more done. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon on Otto's Garage.